Since I put out my first Happy Meal video on the channel, people have been asking me to talk about the Burger King Kids Club, and so that's what we're here to do. This video is the second part of my Burger King series, and it's going to cover the years 2000 to 2009. As we're going through everything today, make sure to let me know in the comments when we come across a toy or a meal that you have some fond memories of. I love reading about those in the comments. And if you're looking for more videos similar to this, you can always go check out my channel where I have a whole playlist talking about different Happy Meal toys, but also different kinds of pop culture history. If you want to make sure to get notifications about future videos, don't forget to subscribe. That would include the next video in this series, which is going to cover Burger King toys that came out from the year 2010 to 2019. Before we jump into the actual kids meals that came out in this decade, I do really quickly want to mention we're not going to be seeing one thing specifically, and that is going to be the Burger King Kids Club, which sadly was discontinued before we got into the 2000s. So let's go ahead and hold a moment of silence for our fallen mascot friends. The first thing that we're going to be seeing in the rebranded Burger King Big Kids Meals is going to be a set of toys based off of the DC animated series, Batman Beyond. These toys would run from January 3rd until February 6th. February 14th until March 12th, we would get a set of toys based off of the Nickelodeon cartoon, The Wild Thornberrys. And this would be followed up March 13th through the 26th with a reissue of the Pokemon series that we saw back in the year 1999. This was branded as One More Chance to Catch 'Em All. An important thing to note about this re-release is that unlike the original run of these toys, these ones did not come with the plastic Pokeball for each Pokemon because, again, those were deemed a suffocation hazard for small children. From March 27th until April 23rd, you could get one of 4 different 2-packs of toys based off of the animated movie The Road to El Dorado. And then next from April 24th until May 28th, to tie into the Flintstones prequel movie The Flintstones in Viva Rock Vegas, you could get one of 4 different toy sets. Then starting on May 29th and running until June 18th, you could collect one of 7 Dragon Ball Z figures. Each figure would come with a stand and a card, and if you collected all 7 toys, you would be able to get a free Dragon Ball Z video. The DreamWorks movie Chicken Run would be featured next from June 19th until July 16th. There were 4 different toys that you could collect, and they could be combined to create the airplane that the chickens put together in the movie. Running from July 24th until August 30th, there was a new Pokemon set, this one tying in with Pokemon the Movie 2000. Instead of these ones just being little figures, though, they were different, what they called power cards, which could do different things like flap wings, glow, squirt water. And they had pared down the number of Pokemon that were actually included in this set, limiting it to only 24. Starting in August of the year 2000, you could get one of 5 different Backstreet Boy action figures, which tied into a comic book that featured fictionalized versions of the boy band members called the Backstreet Project. To celebrate Halloween, running from October 9th until November 5th, Scooby-Doo and the Alien Invaders would be featured as the Burger King Big Kids Meal toys, and all of these toys would feature some type of glow-in-the-dark feature. The Rugrats would be back in the Burger King Kids Meals running from November 13th until December 10th to celebrate the release of their second feature-length movie, Rugrats in Paris, this time with 8 different interconnecting toys which would allow you to create your very own Reptarland. And then closing out the year, running from December 11th of 2000 until January 7th, 2001, we would have yet again another Pokemon series, this time tying more into the games with what they called the Pokemon Mini Game Boy collectibles. Starting January 15th, 2001 and running until February 11th, the Rugrats would be back again really quickly into the kids' meals, this time with a series of toys that could create a treehouse. The Jackie Chan Adventures would be next up, running from February 12th until March 4th in the Burger King Big Kids Meal with a series of 8 different figures, and that would be followed up from May 7th until June 10th with a set of kids' meal toys tying into the release of the original Shrek. SpongeBob is going to be featured a lot in this decade. It's all going to start right here, running from June 11th until July 8th. The X-Stunt sports sets would be next up in the Burger King Big Kids Meals. These would feature different, tech decks, little mini bikes, and wakeboards tied into different professional athletes. And it would run from July 9th until August 16th. Kubik's Robots for Everyone would be next up and would start on August 27th and run through the month of September. These wouldn't just come with their little individual toys, but also pieces that would allow you to build a bigger figure. The Simpsons will be back at Burger King running from October until November 4th, with a series called The Simpsons Spooky Light-Ups. These featured different Simpsons characters in different Halloween outfits. And that was followed November 23rd until December 30th by a series of toys that tied into the release of The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. Then running from December 31st, 2001 until January 28th, 2002, the cartoon X-Men Evolution would get a series of toys that would also include a game with each meal. January 29th until February 12th, we would have a split kids meal where you could get one of either a set of Powerpuff Girl toys or another set based off of Dragon Ball Z. These would be followed February 13th until March 5th by a set of toys called Nintendo Superstars, which would include toys from Nintendo franchises such as Super Mario Bros., Donkey Kong, Kirby, and The Legend of Zelda. Next, from March 6th until April 24th, you could get one of 10 toys tied in with the release of the original Ice Age. And then Nickelodeon would have another show featured, this time Rocket Power, running from April 25th until May 10th. Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron would be included in the Burger King Big Kids meals running from May 11th until June 3rd. And then from June 4th until July 4th, you could get a toy that tied in with the release of the new movie Men in Black 2. In August of 2002, you could get one of 8 different toys that tied in with the series I had actually completely forgotten about, called the Butt Ugly Martians. And those would be followed by another Nickelodeon property, The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius, that would run for the month of September that tied in with the release of the movie that preceded the show. This October, we would have another Simpsons series to celebrate Halloween with The Simpsons Creepy Classics. And then closing out the year 2002, we would have a set of toys based off of the animated show Beyblades. As we get into the year 2003, running from January until March, we would have another set of kids' meal toys that allowed you to choose between the Powerpuff Girls and Dragon Ball Z. And then running from March until April, SpongeBob would be back with another series as well. Running from April until May, we would have a set of toys tied into the animated series Justice League, where you can get a toy for each member of the group. From May to June, we had toys that tied into the crossover movie Rugrats Go Wild, which had the Rugrats teaming up with the Wild Thornberrys. And those were followed from June to July by toys that tied in with Sinbad Legend of the Seven Seas. In September of 2003, we would get a set of toys advertising the Cartoon Network show Dexter's Laboratory. And then to celebrate Halloween this year, in October, Hamtaro was featured in the Burger King Big Kids meal with characters that were able to wear different costumes. Finishing out 2003, from November until December, you could get a toy that tied into the Cat in the Hat live-action film that was released at that time. Running for the month of January in the year 2004, you could get one of 5 different toys that tied into the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle show that was released at the time. And those were followed in February by the Nicktoon, The Fairly OddParents, which had a set of 10 different toys to collect. To coincide with the release of the second live-action Scooby-Doo movie, Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed, in March you could get a Scooby-Doo toy. In spring of 2004, there were a set of toys called the Micro Pet Pals. And then running from May 11th until June 3rd, Shrek 2 would be featured in the Burger King Big Kids meal. Spider-Man 2 would be next up, running from June 26th until July 25th. On this set, I definitely remember having that Spider-Man toy in the back, the glider. Then from July 26th until August 27th, there was a pretty cool set of Yu-Gi-Oh! Toys to collect. Then the DreamWorks movie Shark Tale would be running in the Burger King Big Kids meal, running from September 20th until October 12th. And then finishing out the year from November 1st, 2004 until January 1st, 2005, there would be a set of toys that would tie in with the release of the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. Starting January 1st, 2005 until March 3rd, you could choose between either a toy that tied in with Dora the Explorer or a Matchbox toy that included a few cars, a dump truck, or a helicopter. The animated movie Robots would be next up in the Burger King Big Kids meal, and these would run from March 3rd until the 30th. And they would be followed April 1st until May 15th with toys that were actually little versions of the board game Cranium. May 16th until June 17th, a big set of toys tied into the release of Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith would come out. This original set would include 31 different toys that would span the entire Star Wars saga. And then from June 18th to July 19th, 20th Century Fox's The Fantastic Four would have a set of 5 different toys to collect. Running from July until August, you could collect one of 4 Transformers from the series Transformers Cybertron. And then running from September into the first part of October, the Nickelodeon show Danny Phantom would be featured in the Burger King Big Kids meals. To celebrate Halloween this year, Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, would be the featured toy, one of which would be a bucket, which if you've checked out my Happy Meal toy videos, you know I am always a fan of. From November until December, we would have an extended Star Wars toy set, which would include all the toys from earlier in the year, but also some additions. And then making the jump from December 2005 until January 2006, the new designed Furbies would be featured in the Burger King Big Kids meals. And if you thought the original version of Furbies were scary, these things are just, I don't know, way worse. U.S. Figure Skating would have a tie-in with the kids' meals running from January 18th until February 19th. These would include 4 different electronic games that kids could play. And this would be followed February 20th until March 21st by a set of SpongeBob toys called Lost in Time. Ice Age 2, The Meltdown would be the toys you could find at Burger King from March 22nd until April 23rd. And then Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, a show that was running on Cartoon Network, would be next up and run from April 24th until May 25th. Then from May to June, you could collect one of 6 different X-Men The Last Stand figures that tied into the release of the 3rd X-Men movie. And then that would be followed with either a choice between Bratz Genie Magic and G.I. Joe Sigma 6. You'd have the chance to get a toy that tied into Superman Returns from June 28th until July 24th. And that was followed by the animated movie The Ant Bully, which would be featured from July 25th until August 26th. Nickelodeon's Avatar The Last Airbender would have a set of toys in the Burger King Big Kids meals running from August 27th until September 27th. And then from September 28th until October 31st, the animated movie Open Season would have its characters featured in the Burger King Big Kids meal. Through the month of November, the animated penguin movie Happy Feet would have toys that you could collect. And then finishing out 2006 for the month of December, there were toys that tied in with the video game Dance Dance Revolution. For the first 2 months of 2007, the Burger King Big Kids meals would feature bobbleheads of Burger King's own mascot. And then for the rest of February and into March, you would have a choice between either a Groovy Girls toy or a Chubb City Welcome to the Neighborhood car toy. Running from March to April, SpongeBob SquarePants would be back in the Burger King Big Kids meal, this time with the series called Friend or Foe. And that would be followed the rest of April and into May with toys that tied in with the release of Spider-Man 3. I remember having the one in the front left. It would actually change colors depending on how hot or cold it was. The Fantastic Four are back again with Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer, having toys in the Burger King Big Kids meals from May until June. And then from June to July, you could get a toy that would tie in with the release of the first live-action Transformers movie. The Simpsons would be back again in the Burger King Big Kids meals from July 23rd until August 26th, this time tying in with the release of the Simpsons movie. The NFL would have a jersey from each team in its league featured in the Burger King Big Kids meals running for the month of September. And then for the month of October, the video game and eventual cartoon series Viva Pinata would be the featured toys. SpongeBob would have yet another set featured this year in the month of November, this one titled SpongeBob's Atlantis SquarePantius. And then finishing out the year 2007, you could get the iDog. And then because it seems like he has to show up in every series that I make, Snoopy would be the featured toy in January of 2008 over at Burger King. And he would be followed in February by the Cabbage Patch Kids Little Sprouts and a series of trucks tied in with Monster Jam. SpongeBob would be back yet again with Pest of the West running from March until April. And then from April to May, you'd get a set of toys tied into the movie that kicked off the MCU with Iron Man. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull would be next up and would feature toys from May until June of that year. And then next up, from June to July, Edward Norton's The Incredible Hulk would be featured. Pokemon are back again at Burger King, this time to celebrate the release of Diamond and Pearl trading cards. And those toys would be featured from July 7th until August 12th. And then finishing out August and running into September, we would have a true Kids Meal Classic with Crayola coming in with their own set of toys. Continuing on in September and running into October, Neopets would make the jump from McDonald's over to Burger King. And then to celebrate Halloween this year, iDog would put out a set of 4 different figures that would each have 4 different costumes that you could collect. In November of 2008, The Simpsons would be back again in the Burger King Big Kids meal. This time, if you collected all the figures, you could combine them to create the Simpsons couch. And then finishing out the year in December, Nintendo would put out a collection of toys that tied into their newest console, the Wii. And as far as I've seen so far in the videos that I made about kids' meals, this is the only time Metroid has been featured in a kids' meal. Let me know if you're aware of any other times that franchise has shown up in the comments below. And then 2009 starts off with your choice of either a Monster Jam truck or a Cabbage Patch Kids toy. And then that was followed in February with toys that went along with the release of the movie, The Pink Panther 2. The Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards would be back for the first and only time this decade with a set of toys, and they would be followed up by yet another SpongeBob SquarePants series, this one being called SpongeBob vs. The Big One, with this series running through the month of April. In May, the rebooted Star Trek movie series would have the toys in the Burger King Big Kids meal, and that would be followed yet again in June with the release of another Pokemon series, this one coming with either Pokemon card frames or card holders, as well as a set of cards that tied into Pokemon Platinum. The second live-action Transformers movie, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, would be featured in Burger King Big Kids meals running from June 22nd until July 19th. And then the movie G.I. Joe The Rise of Cobra would have Burger King toys running from July until August. From August until September, the Burger King Big Kids meals would give you the choice of a toy that tied into either the Dangerous Book for Boys or the Daring Book for Girls. And then Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs would have toys in the Burger King Big Kids meal running from September until October. Our final SpongeBob set of the decade would be released from October until November, this series being called SpongeBob's Truth or Square. And then the forgotten animated movie Planet 51 would have a set of toys as well. And then closing out the decade in December of 2009, there were two sets to choose from, one of them being For Real Friends, and the other one being Marvel's The Superhero Squad Show. And that's going to wrap up another decade of kids' meal toys here at Burger King. Did you see anything that you remembered? Make sure to let me know again in the comments below. And if you want to get notifications about future videos that I will be putting out, including the next video in this series, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I want to thank everybody for their support as we've been going through all of this. The channel has really blown up in the last few months, and it's all because of people like you. So thanks for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. Until then, you take care.